to the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast. I am your host, Ann Alston, and it is once again my pleasure to bring quality programs. I am back again with another person who has joined the movement again from 2017. Dr. Sharon Porter is going to be in the house today. So I want you guys to be ready to listen to what she has going on. We also have a lot of other good participants and information to share on this podcast. So please take a moment to go to all of the pages and listen to all of the podcasts we have going on. There's a lot of good information, as I said, and you want to make sure that you are writing down some of this stuff, reach out to them, connect with them, because that's why we have their information out there. Just in case you did not know, the purpose of the BMWOC podcast is to not only share our industry information, but we are encouraging you, the working professional, the career seeker, the college student or high school student, to think about entering their line of work. Before we get started, we would like to take a moment to thank our corporate partners and sponsors, which are Cat Serrano, LLC, Cheryl Wood Empowers, Concern and Learning, Evangelism Radio, Genesis Preferred Solution, J Coach International, Nels Tax Help, My Financial Home, Power, STCI, and the Student Teacher, along with our many business affiliate partners, which Dr. Sharon Porter is one of our business affiliate partners. So I want to say thank you for her support and being part of the movement for this cause, and all of our other participants that we're going to have here on this podcast. So I'm going to get right into Dr. Sharon again. As I said, she was actually on our podcast last year. So I want to encourage everybody to please go back and listen to her podcast, but I'm going to introduce her again because she has some new stuff going on in 2018 that I know that we're excited to share with everybody here on the podcast. Dr. Sharon H Porter is the CEO and founder and owner of Perfect Times SHP LLC, Grind Entrepreneur Network, and the I Am Dr. Sharon Show. For 25 years, she has served as an educator and a leadership development coach for novice principals and assistant principals, and coordinates an induction program for first and second year assistant principals. She is also a former elementary and middle school principal. Dr. Sharon is a noted author of several books entitled Next in Line to Lead book series. She also has the MLM book, The Business of the 21st Century, Woman on a Mission, Sisterhood of Stories, the 3 Ps. And also coming up this year, she's going to announce another new book that we are so excited to be collaborating on. I'm going to let her give the good news for that. And she also is involved in another opportunity that we are also collaborating on, which is a nonprofit called Destination Achievers Incorporated, which we're going to be talking about that as well. So with all of that, I want to welcome Dr. Sharon H. Porter to the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be a part again this year.
I'm going to tell you, we have been on a roll, right?
We have. But you know what? That's what it's all about.
I'm going to tell you, last year was really phenomenal, just thinking about all the books that you have written and having all the people on your show to talk about writing the book and being a leader. And then you came up with this really fantastic idea to do an anthology book. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, that is my specialty in compiling anthologies. And I just want to give the purpose of me doing those is simply because when I was invited to do one a few years ago, the MLM book, which I actually talked about last year on your show, I just received just a feeling of achievement in doing that. And so I really wanted to inspire aspiring authors to do the same. So the book that you're referring to is Women Who Lead, and it is such a phenomenal book. We were due to release in January, but we had a few stumbling blocks, and we, as we know, we just keep pushing forward. And so in just a few weeks, we will have this book ready to send out. And it is really highlighting over 20 dynamic, phenomenal women from all across industries, you included, sharing their stories of obstacles and challenges that they faced in their leadership journey. And so every story is different, but what you will see is a resounding resilience in everyone's story. And so I cannot wait to get that book in the hands of your listening audience. It is
I'm
a
gonna tell
dynamic
you,
book.
I cannot wait either. So go ahead and drop some names for some of the other folks that you have that's in this book.
Absolutely. So we have Maria Howell. For those of you who know, she was in The Color Purple. She was actually in Hidden Figures. She was the classroom teacher in the beginning of that. She's a singer. She's been on several television shows. The Haves and the Have Not. She's appeared on that. A dynamic actress, singer, voiceover. So Maria Howell is one. Then we have Melinda Calloway, who was a news anchor in the Raleigh-Durham area. She's now doing freelance reporting and anchoring now in that area. Just an awesome, dynamic person. We have Nakia Fox. She is out of Orlando, Florida, who is an engineer and a female construction owner. I just love to say that she owns a construction company.
Really?
She has taken her engineering degree, and owns this construction company. In addition to being a hairstylist, when I tell you she is a woman
Wow.
who, I'm telling, it is just amazing,
How you go from
amazing.
construction to hairstylist? I'm gonna have to read her
Exactly.
excerpt because who does that? But you know
Exactly. And
what?
she's
Wow.
gonna tell you all about it in her book. I tell you just a few more. I tell you we have Decvay Campbell, who's a career professional. She helps individuals in the career industry who've gone through her struggles and now assisting others doing the same. We have an assistant superintendent, Lisa Gonzalez, out of the Bay Area in California, who's in there. We also have just so many dynamic people. Crystal Kelly, who's out of the Connecticut area, who's the owner of Power Your Purse. I just cannot begin to tell you the different dynamics that's going to come from this book and the inspiration that we're going to give to young women everywhere across this country. So I'm so excited to have this book come out.
I am excited too. And you know what? We are inspiring so many people to do the same thing. We really
Yes,
are. And
yes,
that's what's really what it's all about because now people are stepping up and speaking out and it's just really phenomenal to see because everywhere I go somebody is trying to do an anthology of some type and or a
exactly.
podcast of some type. So it's really kind of amazing. Okay, so we know that you got the anthology. Do you have any other books that's like sneaking out from the corners that's coming out? Because you're really good at putting books out, and I don't want anybody to miss any opportunity to get a
Yes,
hold of any of your books. So talk about if you have any,
absolutely.
talk about it.
Absolutely. And so what I do with this, I always encourage because number one, I get the anthology, but then I encourage the individuals in the anthology then to branch out and either do their own book or be the leader of their own anthology. So I'm so excited. I have clients now from my first one, Next in Line to Lead, who I'm helping create their own book. I have a few from the Women Who Lead who are now doing their own book. I also have the class of 2017 who was just released in December. That also is an anthology where I featured graduates from 2017, and I'm also now looking for next year's, which is class of 2018, actually this year, but the graduates that will graduate from 2018 to feature them as well because I got such an overwhelming support of that in individuals who were graduating this year was like, I need to be in it
Wow.
next year. So
Wow,
I
you
said,
know what?
okay,
This gives me so many ideas, which I'm gonna not gonna give it away right now. I'm gonna actually share this with you offline. I have such a
okay,
great
absolutely,
idea for a new book now that you mentioned all of that. So speaking
absolutely.
so speaking of books, and I will also say that by participating in this anthology, because I keep saying that I'm gonna write this book that I've been trying to do all this time, right?
Yes.
That just participating in that actually forced me to just stop the world,
Hmm.
right? And just write just one piece of my life, right?
Yes.
And so when I wrote The Unseen Light, and I'm just being very transparent. When I wrote it,
Mhm.
I really said to myself, I told myself I was going to write this book 2 years
Mm.
ago. And two
Wow.
years ago, I did not write a word other than I think I had like one paragraph and maybe like a half a chapter. Like, and it wasn't
Wow.
even related to the unseen light. But it actually forced me to sit down and said, if I was to write anything to encourage anyone to read, what would that be?
Mhm.
And it actually forced me to say, I really need to sit back and write this book. So, one of my 2018 goals toward the end of the year is to get back to writing my book that I started 2 years ago. Before
Wow.
I
That's
started my
awesome.
workshops and all this podcast, this is basically where all this came from, was writing my
Exactly.
autobiography, and I never did it. And I don't
Wow.
even really have a good excuse, right? Why I
That's
didn't
right.
write it
Absolutely.
other than I just didn't do it,
Absolutely.
right? So I'm one of those people where I need to be on your show, write the book now, because obviously
Right.
I'm not I'm not writing anything, so I need to really do it this time. So I'm just really excited
Exactly.
about it. I really am, and I may not say much, in terms of certain places, but I think about the anthology a lot because I'm really excited about reading other similar stories,
Yes.
and finding out, what did they do that helped them get to that point. And
Exactly.
I don't mind learning this stuff over and over again and so many different platforms, because that's how I learn to be creative. That's how
Yes.
I become a vessel of information, because I want to know, what did you do? Because somebody thought of it first. So somebody thought,
Exactly. That's
somebody had it,
right.
right?
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness, I'm excited about the anthology. I'm telling you guys, you're gonna have to get the book if you want to be in the know for the next anthology that Dr. Sharon is pulling out. You're gonna have to be in the know and be part of this book. So I encourage you to get the book, read the book, be part of
Yes.
the book, write the book now if you got a book in you.
That's it.
Okay,
That's it. And
and
that's what
and
it's all
and get
about.
help.
When I do the anthologies,
Hmm.
and I normally target aspiring authors so much because what I want them to see is that you can do it. And, because if you've already authored, which I know fewer people have, and Lord, and I don't want to, Angela Marshall, don't want to forget her. She's also in the book. She also has several books on her own, but her story is powerful. She was the wife of an NFL player, and her newest book is the wife of an ex-NFL player, and she really goes through that rags to riches story, how she had it all but really didn't have anything. So she tells a little bit of her story as well. I don't want to forget her because she is a major part of that. But I was going to say that I really, and those who come and work with me in doing their anthologies, or even be a part of who I am in the anthologies, you will see that I don't charge an arm and a leg. I do the bare minimum because I do not want cost to be a barrier for individuals who want to get their
Mm,
voice out.
that
And
is
so
good to
that
know.
is one thing I'm telling you because people charge you thousands of dollars to be in their book, and
Yes.
I will not. I will not. I've learned how to do it, so I charge what it takes to do it. If that makes
Right.
sense. I don't.
But
And
that's good to know, because everybody gets afraid of costs,
yes,
but it's really
yes.
more about how you investing in yourself and what's really more important. And I think
Exactly.
a lot more people are seeing that, that cost is not just a barrier, it's the value. When you
Yes.
write a book, and you said this in your video, and I'm gonna point this out, in one of your videos on YouTube, you said when you write a book, you are really just expressing everything that is created within you. And I'm just paraphrasing how I kind of
Right.
interpret that. And because
Mhm.
that's why I really love when I wrote Empower Thyself. And I said, if I had to tell someone how I overcame simple things, how did I actually do it? Instead of actually talking about what I've been through, I actually said, okay, this is what I did to get through it. And
Yes.
somebody can read that over and over again and refer to it all the time, and they know that this person has helped them. So when you write a book, a lot of information is in there, and they always say that if you want to hide good stuff, put it in a book. And we have to
Right.
stop. We have to do that. Okay, so we're
Absolutely.
excited. We're gonna keep talking about this all
Okay.
day. So,
I
so,
know.
so, Dr. Sharon, you now have the I Am Dr. Sharon show, and it is
Yes.
off the chain. You have been
Oh my God.
doing your thing. Talk about the I Am Dr. Sharon show, and let's talk
Yes.
about how did you come up with this concept, and then we're gonna go back and talk about your education background, so those people who didn't catch the podcast will know how did you
Yes.
even get to this point.
Yes, I'm gonna tell you. First of all, it was all God. So I have been faithfully doing my 3 podcasts. I have the Grind Entrepreneur Network Spotlight, where I feature entrepreneurs. I do Write the Book Now, as we've talked about, where I feature authors, and then I have my I Am Dr. Sharon Leadership Matters, where I feature my educators. And so I still do them. I do on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights on Facebook. And so I was doing this. And so this owner of this radio station, who recently started in November, was looking for shows to fill in, the airtime. And someone sent him my YouTube videos of my Facebook Live interviews. And the rest is history. I was so floored. And so what it really does is give an opportunity for me to do all of my Facebook Live interviews in studio under one umbrella. And so the I Am Dr. Sharon Show is really a combination of the Grind Entrepreneur Network, Leadership Matters, and Write the Book Now. So on this show in studio in Prince George's County, Maryland, I feature educators, authors, and entrepreneurs every Sunday morning from 10 to 11 a.m. And it has been just a delight. I cannot tell you. Oh my goodness. I'm like, why did I not major in media and journalism? Because this is my life. I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to start over and go back. Because when I tell you I'm in my element, when I'm in that studio, it is such a feeling that I get, just because, number one, I love hearing from people. And that's what I mean by I'm in my element. I learn from others. That's how I learn. And that's why I started my Facebook Live interviews, to feature them, but also allow my clients an opportunity to hear from individuals who are already doing it, because I use my interview sessions as part of my coaching sessions with my clients. And so now that I get to be in studio, I have the guests come in, and when I tell you it started January the 7th, every show has been phenomenal. I cannot tell you. I mean, from the state's attorney of Prince George's County, her show was so impactful. I've had Karen Maria Austin, who is a phenomenal marketer and branding specialist in the Washington, D.C. area and beyond. I mean, Sade Wa Adu, who is also a wonderful branding strategist who goes all over the world. I have just had some phenomenal guests. And so it really just allows me a platform that I can now share with a larger audience than I could on my Facebook Live. So I'm just so indebted, just so grateful for the opportunity. And I definitely see it doing bigger and better things as the years to come. So, and I appreciate you highlighting that, because I started that January the 7th. So I kicked 2018 off with a bang.
You did. You really, really did. And I am just so proud of you doing what you're doing. Because I'm going to tell you, when I first saw you on Voxway, because I think I saw that earlier what somebody else was doing, I said, what is a Voxway or something like that? And so I went online and I actually watched the entire show and everything. And I said, wow, I said, they right here in Maryland. I said, when did they come up with this? And so when I saw you on there, I was like, wow, she has gone to another level. But one of the things I want to tap to that, because we both do podcasts and we both interview people. One of the things I want to do is really give some advice for those folks that are listening to us right now, and they seeing us on these platforms and they want to do what we do. This will really be a good opportunity to really talk about, how do we find the clients to interview that want to be in this? And I know for me, it's really just showing the value in why someone want to share their information. Why would someone want to be on the BMWOC podcast or one of your 3 podcasts? What have you found to be the best practice for a really new entrepreneur who want to do podcasting or any type of interview type of thing? What would you say to them in your experience?
Well, first of all, you're going to have to provide value, because what I have found, people are not willing to be a part of anything that's not of value because it really downgrades your brand. And so that's the first thing. And you can't fault them for that. So in the beginning, it was a struggle because, at the beginning of anything, you got to fight to get your way, to make your way.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so really just the reputation that you have. And that's why even now, when I do my Facebook Lives, and I said this before somewhere else, I did it as if I was in a studio. I took it seriously. It wasn't just getting on, jumping on, and doing a Facebook Live.
Right,
It
right.
was a show for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was a show, and I treated it as such. And so when I was able to show those interviews, you would think that I thought I was in a studio. And so that, to me, because that's how I took it as.
Mm-hmm.
And I meant that. I'm not just going to jump on, because I know some people just jump on how they want to be. No, that doesn't work for me. And so just so when this owner actually looked at it, it moved him to say, hey, she could be on the air here at Vox Wave. And so for that, I definitely say provide value and be professional in what you're doing, because you want to get people of value on your show. And so you just, and number one, and I don't know how people would take it, but you just can't have any and every one and thing represented on your show. It's one thing to say, my show is sponsored. I have sponsors. And so I have to remember that I'm not only showing my brand and supporting my brand, but the brands of others who have vested in me to carry on this show. So I have an obligation to make sure that I'm putting on positive, motivating, and factual things. So that's why I'm very particular about who's on the show. And even for the sponsors, and I can't take everyone. I can't have everyone as a sponsor.
That's right. That is so true what you're saying. I did want to add one caveat to what you just said. When you're talking about branding, you have to be very careful about how you represent yourself. And just like you said, when you have any and everybody on your show, that means you don't have structure. You have to have a structure to your podcast. And so I say to people who want to do a podcast that you really have to come up with an actual structure, and then structure that concept you have to the audience that you're trying to get people to listen. And then you get the people who relate to what you're doing to speak on those topics. And when you have structure, because if you look at all the brands right now that talk about, advertising, and we all use McDonald's because they're like the epitome of structure. Okay. They're always having the yellow M. They always have the song, dun, 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 no matter what they do, right? They have the people, they have the target, they have the vision, and they stick with that same thing over and over and over again. And everybody always used Coca-Cola because they had a structure with their soda. And when they changed it, then they changed the formula and the taste. People were like, this is not going to work. And they had to go back and do Coca-Cola Classic and try to get the trust back from the people who they lost, right? So when you're doing a podcast, like you say, you can't just have any kind of sponsor on there. You just can't. I don't care how much money they offer you.
Right.
You have to, but you have to understand that people who invest in you, they have to match your vision of your company.
Yes.
So if you don't have that, it's just not going to work. But I'm going to tell you. And then here's the other question I was going to ask you. Okay, so Dr. Sharon, you have all these platforms. How do you manage it all? I'm pretty sure this is a burning question that everybody asks you, because it's hard just doing one business. But when you have like 2 or 3 going on, what is that best practice that you would give someone to say, if this is what you plan to do and you want to handle it, how is the best way to manage it all?
I would definitely say prioritizing and planning, because you cannot do it all. So if you have all of these things on your plate, then there is something that has to be let go somewhere. And so prioritizing what that is key. And then the second thing is planning. My weekends are filled with planning. And that's because, number one, I'm a full-time employee of a company somewhere else. And so this is in addition
Yes.
to my full-time work. And so the bulk of my day, that's why when anybody asks me to do anything, and you can attest to this, I always say the weekends are best for me because my weekdays are locked. I
Wow.
work a 9 to 5, and then I'm doing my podcast Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday in the evenings. And then I have my Thursday and Fridays and Saturdays as coaching sessions. I am a coach. That's what I do. And so
Oh,
there has
that's
to
right.
be
You are a
time for
coach
that.
too. Let's talk about that. That's right. We got to,
Yeah.
we're so busy. Girl, I'm telling you about so much. I can't even talk about it all. So
I
tell us, okay,
know.
so first of all, let's start with your education background because um, education for me is number one, and so I actually had a lack of education in the generation that I grew up in. We didn't have teachers that really looked out for the student. And I
Mhm.
kind of want you to share the greatest things about being an educator, working in the education space, and why someone would even want to be an educator.
Yeah, and it's really hard. The times are really hard for educators today. And I, as you mentioned, have been an educator for over 25 years in North Carolina and in Maryland. Started out as a classroom teacher and just, moved up the ranks, ended up as a principal. And then the last 4 years, I've been a leadership coach in a school district in the Washington, D.C. area. And in that role, I work with first and second year principals and assistant principals in their development, cultivating their development. And so it was through that, that really inspired me to go and create my own private coaching business, which is what I did. But as an educator, I always knew that I wanted to be, since fourth grade. That was what I said I was going to do. And in fact, it was my fourth grade teacher who inspired me just through her actions and her teaching to be a teacher. And so I kept that, I held on to that, and that's exactly what I went to school for, was education. And so for me, it's really a fulfillment. I am a servant leader by all standards, and I believe in giving and serving others, almost to a fault. And so I really try my best in my educational journey is to make sure that I am inspiring. And, and today, my second grade students from when I first came to Maryland, I still am very close with many of them. My second graders who are now all married, have children and families of their own. Some of them are
Wow.
in educational. And as a matter of fact, I just graduated last year with my doctorate, and one of my second grade students graduated the same day from Howard. We graduated the same day. She graduated with her PhD in math, and I was her second grade math teacher. And that thing touched me so much. And
Oh,
she's actually
wow.
featured in my class of 2017 book. But
Mm.
it's things like that. And then one of my, and I have to call her Miss Lucy, she was in my second grade class. I was like her second mother, and I appreciate her mother for entrusting me. And this was back in the day when you could take students with you. And, she was like my little child. Her mom worked, third shift. She worked for Amtrak at the time. And there were many of times that I took care of her. And so we built a lasting bond. She is now in education in the Washington, D.C. area. So inspiration is all of it for me. If you don't inspire someone to do something bigger and better, then what is the purpose? I just believe it's all about that inspiration. Now, I didn't inspire them to be educators, but I wanted them to make sure that they can go out and be a productive citizen in whatever area that they decided to go in. And so it's really about inspiration for me. And so I just appreciate that. And I think I'm going to have many of them on my show, my I Am Dr. Sharon Show, for the Educators Week, Teacher Appreciation Week. That's one of the things that I'm going to have a few of them on there because, that's really unbelievable. That's been over 20 years ago since I taught them, and we are all very close. Thanks to Facebook.
Oh, wow.
we
And you
are,
know what?
yeah.
It's interesting that you said that you was going to bring them back, because just in another podcast I made a mention that we need to come back to the classrooms. We need to come
Mm,
back to colleges and
yes,
actually say, "Hey, here I am.
yes,
This is real life." You know, we used to have like those, like back in the day, every so often
yes,
we'll have somebody come, but just come back and say, "I want to pay it forward." You know, we have
yes.
so many alumni students who
Oh my
sort of
goodness.
they'll come out for the events, right? But have you
Yes,
come out to say, let me show you what's going on in your industry? And that
yes.
is just so important. And that's why I developed this podcast, because this is a way of coming back and
I
saying, this
love
is
it.
what we're doing. And I'm going to tell you, I have heard of some new stuff that people are doing, Dr. Sharon. I never even dreamed that people were really doing. And that's why I love this podcast. That's why I like being on other people's podcasts and sharing that information, because if you don't know, you don't have the power to make a good decision, or if you
Absolutely.
make a decision, you're going to be like, man, I wish I would have did, or if I had known, right? So I
Yes.
want to take that excuse away that you don't know, because if you're not
Hmm.
in it, then yeah, you don't know. But if it's like given to you and you're not taking advantage of it, you can't say the information is not there. So
Absolutely.
and the hits keep rolling. Okay, so now Dr. Sharon and I, okay, have come together along with another person from 2017 to come together and take our knowledge and skills for a new
Yes.
nonprofit. You know, I've been waiting to say this for a minute, right?
Yes. Yes.
You've been waiting for me to announce this thing, so I think it was
Yes.
the best time. So we have come up with a new nonprofit called Destination Achievers Incorporated, where we're going to be taking education, we're going to be taking entrepreneurship, we're going to take programs for prevention of at risk youth, teens, seniors, anything that has anything to do with career and professional and business development. And we're going to roll that up in a nice little pretty package. And we're going to offer outreach programs to those in the Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Detroit, Michigan areas. And
Yes.
Dr. Sharon is right on top with the education. And we
Yes.
are just so excited to be collaborating together to do this. We came together last year and we started formulating what our preliminary plan. And now we are officially a 501c3 nonprofit
Yes.
organization. So you're going to
Woo.
be hearing a lot about that. I know Dr. Sharon. Okay, so you know I'm going to ask you, right? Because you've been kind of stirring, you've been wanting to say this. So tell me a little bit about what you're thinking as far as like education, and I'll talk about a little bit about the career development so that people can get a holistic view of what Destination
Absolutely.
Achievers is going to be bringing out.
Absolutely. As far as the education piece, we're really looking at academic achievement in our schools. That is one thing, especially as an educator, that we need to make sure we have so many things out there that prevent our students from achieving academically, our children of color specifically. The gaps exist, and it is our goal to really close that academic achievement gap and do what we can to make sure that students have the opportunities, the same opportunities as other students across the country, really help them achieve academically. We know that there is no better alignment of being a productive citizen than is to have a successful academic journey for our students. Our students who do not achieve fall by the wayside. And so it is really the education component of Destination Achievers is to make sure that we really instill these programs that will promote academic achievement for our students across our service area. And so I am so excited. And I just want to thank you for your vision, because when you put out that
Oh,
call, I have been saying for months that I really wanted to be a part of a nonprofit. And then I saw your call. I said, well, look at that. Look at that, you know.
Yes,
And
yes.
so, and the thing was, it was from the ground. It wasn't something that was already started. You allowed those of us to come in to help you mold it and to help you with your vision. And that to me has been the beauty of it all. So although you're the visionary of that, you are allowing us to come in and help mold it to be what it can be. So I appreciate
Right.
you for
Well,
that.
I really thank you. And for people who are listening, you could tell we are super excited in this thing right here, right? Because
Yes.
here's the thing, for me, when I put the call out, for Austin Tech in general was really meant to serve the community. Even though
Mhm.
it's an LLC, in my core heart, I'm always
Mhm.
serving. And it never was all about the money for me. It's all about how can I get my future generation to be more prepared than what I was. And we always are setting some type of example. We all do in some kind of way. But what was missing for me, for my children specifically, was that there were certain pieces of education that was not being instilled in the school systems. Everything was just focused on the basic of information as far as academics, but they weren't like going out there and talking about business and entrepreneurship and what is else out there other than doctor, lawyer, physician,
Mhm.
veterinarian, the typical jobs. And as I started my own journey coaching and consulting and going out and speaking and going to different schools, what I've learned was that our schools in Prince George's County, particularly, was missing the business and entrepreneur element. And so I started shifting my focus from just being a business consultation person to just focusing on the education of that. And so out of that came this podcast, and out of that came different workshops that I tried to do. And then I said, you know what? I really need to be a nonprofit because I kept running into that. And so I said,
Mhm.
okay, do I turn this into a nonprofit or do I create something different? And so we decided that since we had such a good foundation with what we had, we decided to create Destination Achievers. What does that really look like? We want our clients, students, seniors, whoever, to really feel like that they can achieve and get to the end of the destination to what they're looking for. And so when I put the call out and you answered, I was like, bingo. I was like, I
Mhm.
got an educator. And then, of
Yes.
course, Paul Garwood, bless his soul, he's
Yes.
on here as well. He is phenomenal. If anybody wants to know who Paul Garwood is, go all the way down to the bottom of my page and click on Paul Garwood, and you're going to see that he is phenomenal out in Michigan doing this thing. He is very in depth with the youth and has a really strong passion for getting people to, live their content life and finding their purpose, and also helping the students realize their potential, which is really key. And so the three of us, and then of course we have Michael Alston, who is my partner. He also has
Mhm.
logistics. And then we brought on D'Angelo Baines,
Yes.
and he works logistics and transportation, but he has a love for job retention. And so with the
Yes.
four of us coming together, we're actually going to be taking different pieces of our skill set and tying it together so that no child is left without academics, and no
Yes.
child will not miss the opportunity to get a job, and no child is going to miss the opportunity to own a business or to retain a job. And even for those who are seniors or adults or disabled or veterans, those programs also apply to you as well. So we want people to be able to achieve through whatever goal that you have, to help you map that out and get you to where you need to be. So I want to thank you, Dr. Sharon, for answering my
Absolutely.
call and jumping on the bandwagon. And
Yes.
guys, you're going to hear more from us on Destination Achiever. So when you start seeing DA out there, you're going to know what's up, right? Say, we
Yes.
also want you to support us because we're a nonprofit and we can use your donations to help us move our projects forward. So, Dr. Sharon, okay, so talk to us about any activities, announcements, events that you want people to know about, that you want people to come and network with you or be on your show, all the good stuff.
Absolutely. And so the two major things that will be out in the future will be our book celebration and book signing for Women Who Lead. That will be my next big thing that's coming out. And so I would just say look for that. Go to womenwholeadanthology.com, sign up to get the information, because as the updates come out, you will get that information. We do plan to have our signings and celebrations a few places across the country, about 3 in North Carolina, 1 in Atlanta, and we are contemplating the Bay Area in California, because we do have 2 co-authors that are there and want to have something. So just look for us. No matter where you are, we may be somewhere in a place close to you. And so definitely support Ann and her chapter because it's really phenomenal. And I just we took a break on the Books and Business meetup, but that will start after this Women Who Lead celebration kicks off. So I just say thank you, and if your listeners need to have their book published or need help with writing, definitely reach out to me, because I am here to serve you. And again, it's not going to cost you a mortgage payment to get it done.
Exactly.
As so many people are taught, and I don't fault them for doing that. If they have people paying that, that's awesome. But I'm really looking out for the ones that really don't have that and still need to get their story out there. I'm able to work with you with a minimal investment. So definitely reach out to me, and I would definitely do that. And I can be found on all social platforms that I am Dr. Sharon. So definitely.
Okay, and that's the same thing. If you want to be on the I Am Dr. Sharon show, reach out to her because
Yeah.
she is always looking for leaders who want to let people know what they're leading, how they're leading, why they do what they do. Or if you even have young folks, we need to get more young folks on this platform, on ours and hers, because there are so many young people out there doing phenomenal things, and we want to highlight that. So if you know any young leaders, bring them out. Let them come on the show, let them be on the podcast, and really support what they do, because support for their talents is really critical. It keeps them out of trouble, it keeps them motivated, and it keeps them learning new stuff. Outside of that, thank you so much again for being a business affiliate sponsor. Your sponsorship is very valuable to me, and I want to let you know that I really appreciate you supporting and being part of the movement to support small businesses often, not once, but twice.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate having you on this podcast.
Thank you so much.